Hi. So, kind of want to talk about something, and it's kind of where things are going right now, and the fact that I'm just so grateful that I am getting some notice. I just looked at my recent stats. I gained 4 subscribers, and I've had 2 videos the weeks, in the week or so that I've put them up, have more views than I thought was possible. So I'm very happy. And I kind of want to talk about that because I want to talk about why it took me a while to get back to doing these kind of videos. Had a lot to do with a church that I was going to. It's a non-denominational church in Lower Bucks County, Pennsylvania. I'm not going to name it. If you've seen some of my stuff, you probably have a rough idea of where I am located. So you can Google it, you can guess it. So, and and if you're watching from that church, I don't care if you're offended by this because it has to come out. This church pretty much told me to stop the channel because of the fact that I was frustrated with the whole thing of I work very hard on this and it was not working out. But yet, they wanted me to pretend to care about the pastor's wife's podcast, which, if you ask me, I listened to that podcast and it's the most stupidest thing in the world. It's a podcast with somebody who is a mentor of sorts to her who has a disability, and they talk about disability and their faith and everything. And most of it to me seems like stuff that, I'm a supporter of disability rights and everything else, but to me it seems like the kind of stuff that most people would not want to listen to in the first place. And then, of course, they acted like as if I should care about other things like missionaries and things like that when I do my own social activism. I mean, I remember I did a Juneteenth thing in the town I live in and I was with the Pennsylvania Democrats, and getting this kind of awkward moment when I would talk to them about what I was doing. And of course, I also find it kind of ironic that they went to Juneteenth. However, they have done zero zilch Nathan nada in regards to other cultures that had cultural events along there. Like, they didn't care when the Latinos had their Puerto Rican Day. They didn't care about the Celtic Day. They didn't care about the Italian Day. I was down there for a lot of that shit. And so where the fuck were they? I mean, seriously, where were they? And, I kind of want to talk about this too because this church really screwed me up in so many different ways. Because, one, they wanted me to drop the YouTube channel and didn't realize that instead of dropping the YouTube channel, they should have ideally been like, you know what, Marie? We watched your channel. We see where you can improve. We see where there's a lot of potential. We will support you. But instead, they were like, drop it. I would have an issue with somebody who would say something to my face about my appearance. And they would automatically say, get off of social media. That's all I got to say then. Fuck you. And, then of course they would constantly make me feel like just because I didn't fit a certain image, which was that thin, pretty girl that I always saw in churches, especially Protestant churches. Catholic churches not so much on this, but Protestant churches, I always saw this bullshit. Well, anyway, they made me feel like just because I didn't fit that image, I could do anything. However, it seemed like their elder board, who they got to sing, who they got to do scriptures, and etc., 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 was 99.9% of the time these thin girls. And I don't know why they didn't want that for me. I don't know if it's because I was different than them, because I didn't grow up the way they did, because I found out that I really didn't, because half of them didn't understand half of the Mel Brooks references. Like, one of them saw my Ripley's video. By the way, Ripley's Museum is closing on New Year's Eve in Atlantic City. Bummer. But one of them saw my Ripley's video, and my father and I made a joke about this small guillotine, where he said, "Oh, that's a Peter guillotine." And, Peter, another word for penis. And I immediately thought about the circumcision scene in Robin Hood Men in Tights, where it's Rabbi Tuckman talking about how he does circumcisions, and he pulls out this mini guillotine and demonstrates with a carrot. And the one girl, who will remain nameless, she was like, "I never saw that movie." And a bunch of them said they never saw the original National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. They only saw the version that was on cable television, basic cable television, that was edited. Which makes me think, yeah, they were sheltered assholes who didn't even have HBO growing up. And, so I got to learn a lot about that for that reason alone. I mean, I'm shocked they knew about Harry Potter and Twilight. I would have thought they'd be like, "Oh no, we can't watch that." They actually, a couple of them saw The Lighthouse. Considering the fact that Robert Pattinson chokes the chicken for real in that movie, you would think they'd be like, "Oh no, I can't watch Robert Pattinson jerk off." But yeah, it makes you fucking wonder. But they really did a number on me, because not only the whole get rid of the YouTube channel and everything, but my eating disorder, my issues with body image. There was a group that was using space that they had. And here they lost the space because here the church claimed, "Oh, we couldn't afford the rent. The landlord was doing X, Y, and Z to the person that we gave the lease to." You know what? I don't buy that shit, because I think, personally, they were passing the buck. And here is why. I think they were passing the buck because of one reason, and one reason only. They knew that they were having a problem with the landlord and with this whole subletting thing that they were talking about. They knew about it beforehand, because their spiritual director, who, by the way, should not be in her job because she sounds like Michelle fucking Duggar and treats adults like they are 5 years old. She said, "Oh, we're having this problem. You guys gotta just leave right away after your meeting." Fuck you. And you know what? So I really think they were passing the buck. And also, I question where their money went. And it's just because there were certain things I saw that were going on behind the scenes that I'm not going to get into, that I'm like, you guys are trying to be like a Joel Osteen kind of group, and you're not. Also, they hated me because I tried to, like, I could say about the COVID vaccine and they would be like, oh, that's too political. But yet a man can mention it during the announcements and everybody's like one guy went up and said, hey, if you need the COVID vaccine, the Rite Aid around the corner is doing them. And nobody says a fucking word. And then there's the fact that they were involved. They had a partnership with the church that I was a part of, that I left right around the start of the COVID pandemic. And I had many issues with them. I actually told them that I got stalked by a person from this church because basically I was coming home from getting coffee with a friend, walking up the street. This guy was sitting in a Toyota Prius who was a member of this church, and he saw me and he's trying to ease into a conversation, asks me when am I coming back. I said never, and he drives off. I still don't find that a fucking coincidence. Anyway, I told them about that. I told them about other issues. They played it off. They did their sunrise Easter service with this church, and I said, you know what, I'm going to have to back away from this because I don't feel comfortable. And at the time, I was starting to go back and go to Mass at the Catholic Church, and they were like, oh, well, if you want to go to Mass, that's okay. And the way it sounded in the text that I got, and I wish I kept this damn fucking text, the way it sounded in this text, it sounded almost like they wanted me to leave. They didn't want me there if I was going to be, anyway. And I felt that because they had a brunch after the sunrise service. I went to it and I was having like a rough day and everything. And hardly anybody talked to me. It was like I was sitting there and after maybe 20 minutes, I was like, why the fuck am I here if y'all are going to just socialize with everybody else but me? So I got up and walked away. I was like, fuck you people. And, so I've had it. And, like I said, I've had it. I always keep feeling like there's something near my eye. I had it, and I'm not going to go so far as to name the church or name the people involved. But I'm going to say this. This church is a bit hypocritical, and considering the fact that it's a very small congregation and everything, and with their behavior, it sounds almost like they're border, they're not going to admit to it, but to the unskilled persons, if you will, to the people who, to many people, it will probably look like they are acting like a cult. And I hate to say that, but is what it is. But yeah, when I saw these stats on my channel recently, and I saw like the Future House video, which I put up about a week ago, because today's December 25th, that video went up December 16th, and I saw that it's gotten over 500 views, which has never happened before to me. In fact, what blows me away, and I know I've talked about this before on Twitter, what blows me away is the Future House video got over 100 views in the first 24 hours, which has never happened. I only have like maybe one or two videos on my channel that have gotten that high of views. One of them is one of my earliest ones, which was just a simple iTunes tutorial. And then there was a couple like rather quirky little shorts that I did, like There's one I did right around Thanksgiving with my father, and we were actually in a ShopRite, and my dad and I always do this. We always have this crazy thing where like certain things we will be like we will see differently about, and one of them is how to say the word pecan. He says pecan, I say pecan. So, I thought it was funny, so I thought, let me do a YouTube short. And it got over 1,000 views. I'm grateful for that stuff. I have a video that I put up on the 23rd, and again, today's the 25th, and it's actually a video I did the day before in Philadelphia at the Comcast buildings. And I just looked at my stats. I got well over 100 views on it, and most of my exploration videos have gotten like in the tens. So for me to get those stats, especially so quickly, it's like, holy fuck. So that's why I'm not going to listen to this church. I'm not going to listen to these people. I'm not going to listen to these people that were influenced by evangelicals and Anabaptists. That's another thing. The pastor actually converted to Mennonite. I could write a book on the shit that happened with this damn church. But, I'm not going to listen to these people because of one simple reason. I am starting to see that even though I am not like Casey Neistat, even though I am not like Emmy Made in Japan, even though I am not like Dan Bell or The Proper People or Jake Williams from Bright Sun, I'm doing pretty well. I mean, I'm just amazed that I'm getting people that are loving what I do right now, because I wanted to do this stuff, and unfortunately I couldn't. I never had the opportunities that a lot of people do, even though I had the education. And for me now to get this opportunity and to have my work at least having some notice, it's amazing. I love it. And I hope to do more of it. I have a ton of ideas. I actually have ideas where I want to go back down to Philly, do a few more videos, because there's some really quirky art pieces down there that I know I want to look into. I know also maybe a couple exploration videos if I find some other little quirky places. I know I still want to find that Real World house, which led me to do the Macy's video, because I couldn't find the Real World house. So I was like, you know what? I need to shoot something just so I don't feel like I wasted my time. And, so I want to do that. I have ideas for the New Jersey Adventures playlist, because I am always seeing these really interesting places in New Jersey, and some of them are within a 15-20 minute drive from me, which is unbelievable. I also know there's some stuff like right around where I live that's really interesting, and I want to do some video on that. I just want to keep going, and as long as people watch, I will keep going. I mean, I don't care if right now, because of what I have been through between this church and my own personal life, I don't care if I get 2 views or 200 views right now. I just want to do this. And I love that people are like, go on, girl, do it. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I hopefully will have some material soon. I know there's a couple places around where I live right now that I could probably do some video on in this week. I don't know when I'll have it up though. Probably after New Year's, but I know in January there's some couple of things I want to do, which will probably be like a train ride away or so. And I just love that this is happening. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who has watched, everybody who has said something about my work to where they've said, you know what, you're doing great. And to those of you that have probably thought I'm a dork, I hope you stick around anyway, because you're going to see the Tony Bennett song goes, the best is yet to come. I don't know what else to say, but thank you. Thank you for making me realize that those religious people that wanted me to give this up were wrong, and that I should just keep going. So, yeah, we'll see what happens in 2023. And until then, Happy New Year, everyone.